Right. So thanks for your attention. Who here is like in the marketing department? Okay, so you have an idea of what I'll be talking about, probably, or more or less. I hope to be able to share in the few minutes that we have some ideas that will probably give you a better strategic perspective on kind of marketing within the AI world. We saw an example in the first presentation, obviously, but that was a different case because there it was an app that was actually included. But here it's about more like natively being visible in an AI system when people have not installed your app. On the folks that did the apps, what I thought was a fun fact, they are two totally different companies and businesses, but they have the same arch enemy, which is Google. So maybe that's something. That's what the commonality was, right? If you're interested in what I do, you can Google me. Core idea, I think, or like some things that are very clear. I think the usage of all the AI systems, especially the chatbots, is additive. It's not just taking away from search. Most of it is additive. So and the other thing that I'm pretty sure is pretty clear already is that the difference or the kind of the intersection is getting more fuzzy. It's more harder to differentiate. What that means for marketing is obviously that optimizing within search will also decrease in relevance, but on top we will have a lot of optimizing for all these generative engines that exist. And there will be a strong overlap. The extent of the overlap is something I think is undecided yet. So there's people who think it's a totally different thing, and there's really, really good strong arguments with it for it. And there's people who think it's the same damn thing. It just has a few kind of test things to it. It's a little bit undecided. I could argue both ways, and I can tell you I have really strong arguments for both ways. Right. So I really hopefully want to give you an opportunity to see the world the way I see it from a marketing perspective. I think what is important to understand is whenever you use a certain platform, you can have the slides. I'm sure you don't have to take the pics, or you want me on the pics.
Of course.
There is certain intent when you use a certain platform. So typically in search engines, we would know, okay, people that search, they have either a transactional, navigational, informational use case when they come to the search engines. When they use vertical search, like Idealo, for example, it's a very specific transactional intent that is there. So that's kind of a kind of where these two are competitors. When we look at social media, even before we had the AI systems coming up, we already knew that yes, people are there to be entertained, yes, they are there to be inspired, but they're also using it to plan their next trip or whatnot via TikTok, you may think. And then we have the AI systems coming up, and obviously there's strong overlap to all these other three kinds of medium that we know and we're aware of. And there's a different use case yet again here. It's basically the creation use case that you, I think, very, very nicely saw on Mike's presentation, because he's creating something new, and this is not something you would either do in social media or in search engines or in vertical search. And each of these four playing fields, in my taste, it has their own marketing skill set to it. Here I'm looking at the organic part because that's what I've done, for 27-ish years. I've never done something proper or else. So I know actually Idealo from back in the days when Martin and Albrecht were still working there, and Pip was on board still. So a long time ago. This is the way I see the world, and hopefully I can make you follow my thoughts to a certain degree. What is interesting to reflect, looking at the topic from a marketing perspective purely, so not from a product perspective like the first presentation, if we look into anything that is GEO, so GEO not as in geometry, optimizing within the generative search, within the generative engines, not search. Most of the usage of ChatGPT and systems alike has nothing to do with what people would do in a search engine. So most of the usage is cases like Mike's, creating a funny app or whatnot, or a PDF, or an app to make PDFs. But there is still a significant part that's like around a quarter, probably. We don't know. It's just, from study to study, from tool to tool, from year to year, it changes, but it's round about there somewhere, I guess. This is still things that one would also do in a search engine, which obviously, in that case, people are making buying decisions there. So it is important to the marketers. So we have to think about what to do here, even though it's totally untransparent what's actually happening behind the wall. So I thought it was very interesting from the guys from the first presentation, how little they know what is done with the data that they deliver. Because if I was Idealo in the case that was presented, I would want to know if people search what's the right TV for PlayStation or what it was, that I get this feedback and then can add this to my product data, telling, okay, this TV was decided upon when people are looking for a PlayStation, yeah? So it's a little bit of a one-way street. I don't want to get sidetracked because I guess you're probably hungry or want to chat. So, and you've already went through 2 presentations, so we won't keep it too long. So another way to think about it, when we think about the AI systems, the chatbots, the chat interface that we use today, when we compare them to other platforms, it's a strong pull medium. It has, and thinking about and talking about these things is important because it has different marketing to it, right? In a push world, yeah, where people are consuming the next part of information or the next product, they're giving it via push. Yeah, this is kind of the kind of marketing where you kind of rather upper funnel marketing. So you're trying to create a certain need, but here, when we're a lower funnel marketing, it's more like fulfilling a certain need. So that's kind of the state of mind we have to get ourselves in to be able to really, proliferate in GEO. Another thought, if you look at all the marketing channels that we are aware of that are significant in one business or another, we can differentiate them by how broadly they're applicable, right? And you can disagree with me or like if this marketing channel has to be there or not, that's up to you. But the one thing I think we can all agree on, anything marketing in AI systems is pretty much just like SEO, which is amazing because there's not that many channels that are applicable to every business model. So it's going to be a huge topic, even though it has really, really big problems about it, like especially tracking, monitoring, KPIs for success. Tough cookies to crack, but the usage is there, the significance of these systems is unquestioned. Like, what brand cannot do marketing there? It's hard to say, right? I think the strength of this new marketing channel will be somewhere in the mid-funnel section. So I think the examples from the colleagues from the first presentation fit this very, very well. I hope you can enjoy it. If somebody has interest in a certain TV, and then they want to decide which TV it is, and this is a tough cookie because this was actually uncracked. I think even in regular online shops, this is not something that was solved before in online shopping. So the AI systems are actually helping bridge something here that was always not an elegant solution within e-commerce in the examples of the Idealo people. And then they're pushing the user down the kind of the funnel towards more like taking action and buying. I think the Omio colleagues said that of course the buying is being done on their engine, right? But the AI systems, they will have a strong impact here, and we're looking at it, what role it has, right? So let's come to the doing. So this is the way I see this channel, and I hope some of the frameworks help you get in the right frame of mind. When I think about the topic of GEO, I think it's like more or less 5 areas, and I will dive deeper into one because I think this is the most interesting and the thing where we have to learn the most. So to a certain degree, this is something similar that I would present to you if I think about search engine optimization, right? I would have to come up with a strategy first, otherwise what's it all used for? And then I have to make sure that I'm measuring my success. If there's no progress, why am I doing it? And am I walking in the right direction? I have to clear first. Then if we got into the operational part, usually I would distinguish things that I can do on my own website, on my own API, on my own ACP, on my own data feed. So anything that's on my page, and therein I would distinguish usually anything that's content and the other things that are technology. And then there's everything that is happening abroad from my page, so on other websites. And this is kind of the part that has gotten super interesting in GEO because we have to differentiate and get a lot deeper in here. It has a much larger importance than it used to have in SEO. So in SEO, you would probably say, over all business models, it depends a little bit on the company size and business model and whatnot, but you would say, yeah, importance of on-page and off-page was maybe 50-50, maybe 60-40, something like that. And to what we see now from first big projects taking place, much more when we look at GEO is happening in this area. So this is the area we're diving deeper into and have to kind of learn the kind of different aspects to it and what and how we can deal with it. I think one important, usually off-page, just to keep it simple, is just, you probably remember how Google works. If they see a link from one website to another, then they think that's a recommendation for the other websites, which means the other website that has been linked to will get more importance, right? This is what off-page used to be in an SEO world. Here it's different, obviously, because the AI systems, for them, it's enough if something is mentioned. And I would suggest to start to differentiate this a little bit deeper, to see something that I call controlled off-page or influenced off-page. I actually haven't decided on the terms yet that I will be using for it. Maybe I'll change it to owned off-page and earned off-page. I'm not sure. I'm still discussing that with myself. So what I want to, because the AI systems, they need consistency in messaging. You want them to see always the same things being told about you on every place that they hear about you. And in order to achieve that, I can obviously say the right things on my website, but I have to make sure that on my social media that they kind of manage, there's also the same things being said that I want the AI system to learn about me, my brand, my product, whatever. And the same is with PR statements and entries in company directories, which is something that's usually a big topic in the B2B setup. And here, obviously, the changes, I can make them relatively fast, and it already helps quite a heap, but this is only the smaller lever, but it is an important one. So I would actually do this probably first if I have to put my ducks in a row. So you saw on this slide the way of things that I would do. So I would only do this if I've done this. I would only start here if I've done this and this. I would only do this if I've done the other. And then here, I would start on this page, or on this side. Okay. The other thing, anything that's kind of being said on the web about whatever I'm optimizing for, my brand, my personal name, my product, my service, whatever it is. So anything that's reviews, anything that's publications about me, anything anything in the user-generated space. You always know Reddit and YouTube to be big in that, and LinkedIn as well. So here, there has to be another person involved or another entity that I have to influence in order to achieve whatever my targets are there. So ideally, if I want them to learn, I don't know, I'm Norman, and I want them to learn I'm a great person that knows about AI, I would have to ask somebody on Reddit, to chat about that. Or I have to make a YouTube video about that, or ideally someone else makes a YouTube video about that, and then there's comments on the same topic exactly there. So there always has to be other people involved. So this is the tougher part, and I think the biggest chunk will be right in here. So we will have to learn a kind of a different approach to it. There's people in the industry that have a gut feeling that actually you could only do this, and that will be sufficient to be successful in having organic reach with an AI system. So there are people saying, okay, I can only do PR and send certain messages via my PR activities, and that will be sufficient for ChatGPT or whatever you like, Gemini, to understand that my company or my product has this and this properties, or my company stands for this and this value, or whatever you're trying to optimize for. And we have different objectives when we go into off-page GEO, so meaning influencing what's written out there. On the one hand, we have an area called mention marketing, so basically making sure we have more mentions, because the mentions is what the AI systems count. So they count how many are there and how valuable are they. So what's the importance of the publication where the mention about your company takes place, and then obviously they look what else is mentioned there. So I have two approaches here again. One is going for existing citations, so maybe somebody is discussing, I don't know, other price comparison engines, and they forgot about Idealo, then I can approach them and tell them, hey, maybe you mention Idealo as well. And then there's the way of creating new sources. Basically, it's sometimes easier to create a new source, but then the problem is here, when you do this, you obviously already, let's say, you know a certain website has been cited for a certain topic. So you know it's already relevant. When you create new sources, there's certain uncertainty whether the new created source will even have importance for the AI system, whether it will actually recognize it, read it, when will it read it, how will it define it. So there's a certain uncertainty here, and this is tough as well. And then there's a smaller topic of sentiment management. It's basically, one is how often am I mentioned, and the other aspect is what's being said about me. And then there's two directions to work. One is error correction. It's actually big in pharma. The buyer person should know. It's a huge topic that on most medicine topics that I have heard of, where people inspect, there's actually false information about or negative and false information about the different pharma products. And this is a huge issue, obviously, for pharma companies, because they already have only very few possibilities to talk about themselves. They're very restricted in what they can use in their marketing campaigns. So one is correcting the errors, and the other is just trying to pile on top what I already know and think about me, and then kind of engrave that into a deeper thing. Yeah, so this is some my offering for you for some frameworks how to think about the topic. If I had another 30 minutes, which I would have actually liked, I would have had like more examples, specific case studies, so you can see, okay, what he says actually actually works and can be done and can happen. There is being done a lot of experiments. It's very much, it's a crazy and fun area because it reminds me as an older person, you see a lot of gray hair, about the old days of search engine optimization when there were the pre-Google and the beginning of Google. A lot of uncertainties, so a lot of experiments, and none of the big players that are successful want any attention of it, so nobody talks about it if they're successful. It's a very interesting space right now. I'm really having a lot of fun. This is also why I brought a book. It's in German, so if you have a nice question, I like the question, and you speak German, you can have one of my books. That's it from me.